Fruit podcast, where we watch and rank anime of every genre. I'm Jacob.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Ethan. And today, for the first time on Devil Fruit podcast, we have some special guests. We're bringing the hosts over from A Smashing Theory. That's Daniel and Sean. Great podcast. I love you guys. Listen to you whenever you put a new show out. The three of us are all big Smash Bros. Fans. We play all the time. We usually jump on after we do a podcast.
Yeah.
So if you guys just want to introduce yourselves and kind of shout out where people can find you and your podcast, that'd be awesome.
Hi. Thanks. Yeah, I'm Daniel. Part one of the Smashing Theory podcast. We Sean and I do this thing called Beep Boop Group. We're on Patreon, and we're a Smashing Theory you can find on pretty much like every podcast thing, like Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, etc. And yeah, we started as a podcast where we predicted the roster of Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then it came out, and now we just predict video games in general.
Yeah.
And I'm Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm Sean. I'm the other half of A Smashing Theory and most other Beep Boop Group projects. And all of that stuff also applies to me.
Yeah.
So what other projects you guys doing right now besides Smashing Theory?
We're doing a few like Patreon exclusive podcasts, actually. Patreon.com/Beep Boop Group. We have one we've been doing for over a year now called Beep Boop Soup, where we take we take patron submitted like talking points, and we answer them, and then we mix our answers together at the end, and like an abomination, basically. It works enough that we've done it for over a year. I also do a podcast. I'm also starting a podcast this month with my fiance, Amy Lee, called Console Cinema, where we play a video game, we watch a movie that is based on the video game, and then we compare and contrast. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, first episode is coming out at the end of this month, and it's Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Great start one.
As a listener instead of a participant in this case, I am very excited for Console Cinema. I'm looking forward to being a fan instead of sitting behind the microphone.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds
awesome.
great.
I like that.
Question.
There's just so much content. Like, imagine how much Resident Evil you could get into.
Yeah. No,
that's absolutely
no.
true.
My immediate question was like Ninja Turtles. How because I know that the video games weren't first,
Right.
but
I actually
does
was
that count?
It doesn't, but I was kind of thinking about inverting the format for a season 2 or something, like watching movies and then playing video games based off of
on
them.
the movie.
That would be
There's
cool.
plenty of that. There's plenty of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sweet.
Especially those old beat 'em ups like the X-Men, Ninja Turtles, and all that.
Yeah. So if
That'd
we
be
run
awesome.
out of material for the first thing, we can do
Right.
that.
Yo, you're all talking about superheroes. My brain went to Over the Hedge.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you gotta get that on there.
Only-
Sure.
Only deep cuts on the Devil Fruit podcast.
right.
Anyway, so what are we started with?
So we made a list of our Smash predictions as a collective.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Joe and I sat down for quite a while because Joe and I, like adverse to Ethan, are not big. Like, we're not big like predictor guys normally. So we're just like, okay, let's just try to hop in. Let's look around. What are people talking about? I don't know. What do we want? And then we kind of made up a list, and then Ethan looked it over, and he was like, "Nah."
That's not true.
I'm excited. Dude, are you giving us that list, or did you
Yeah.
advise?
Basically.
Okay.
So we've got like a larger list of like full on like pipe dream characters that we're like almost certain aren't going to get in, but we just want. And then we have a small list of like, this is what we think has a really good chance. Whether we want it or not, this is what we think has a good chance.
Okay.
I think we should do the pipe dream characters first to just kind of get them out of the way real quick.
Absolutely.
So just to
Just,
preface
like,
this
list
for
them.
people who are listening, like in the future, we're predicting this right after Min Min just got released.
Yeah.
It was last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the beginning of the
a week or two.
Was it really just last week?
Second DLC pack for Smash Ultimate.
Yep, still
So now
5
these
more
are the-
characters.
Yeah, so 5 characters left. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Joe, how about I want you to throw yours out because I feel like yours are the real weird sneak hit pipe dream.
You
characters.
think? Okay. Well,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Some.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm looking at the list again, and I'm like, yeah, I did have some funny ones. So, I mean, right off the bat, one of the ones I've wanted from the beginning, I am a part of the Geno train.
Haha.
I grew up on Legend of the Seven Stars.
Mhm.
I love that game. And I think that any of those, Imalo would even be great. He could be another floaty character. Like, we haven't had a floaty one like Jiggly or Kirby in a while, and I think that would be a good character. But Geno, all the way, that's my like number one I wish upon a star.
Okay.
My next pipe dream was I was trying to think of like side characters that would maybe be further away from the public conscience, but would fit very well if they actually implemented them. Like Piranha Plant. I never knew I wanted Piranha Plant until they announced it. And I was like, yeah, that's everything. So I was thinking along that vein, and I kind of want the Koopa Paratrooper.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I feel like that would be interesting. And then
Yeah, explain this next one.
okay, I'll just go straight down the list.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Suspense right now.
So with that, I'm just gonna say it. Tony Hawk. Come on, no, come on. So hear me out. Okay. We know Pro Skater 1 and 2 is being re-released. This is legit. This is happening. And we know that Tony Hawk, at least I'm pretty sure, this man's sitting on a little bit of cash. And maybe he slides a little bit to Nintendo one day and says, hey, make this a part of the promotion. Maybe not for this package coming up, but when they remake Underground, and then throw that on this. I got a whole deep conspiracy on how Tony Hawk. Just imagine, picture you're on Yoshi's Island. Mario's throwing the fireballs. Tony Hawk half pipe jumps onto stage and then grabs a skateboard and smacks Mario across the head. Like that would just be so wild.
It would be wild. That's a word for it.
Look, Daniel, he's got relevance. He's got popularity. He's got moveset potential. What can you say against Tony
right?
at this point?
Joy,
right?
I really respect you finding some really solid justifications for
Dude,
Tony.
No. I'm in on it. Like, I remember I added it to the list as like kind of a joke when I first typed it, but literally by the time I finished typing the WK in his name, I was like, you know what? I actually really want this.
You know what I see a non-0% chance of? Tony Hawk as a costume for the Mii sword fighter, and his skateboard is the sword.
Yeah,
that is great.
That'd be great.
That is actually great.
Yeah.
I would be satisfied.
I would also be satisfied with that.
I would be satisfied.
Awesome.
That might be the first Mii fighter I'm like excited for.
Dude. Okay. Next up.
You should go to the second from the bottom because we have the other one in our.
Okay.
Oh no,
okay.
we don't anymore. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you knocked it down. This was in the actual predictions, and then Jacob and Ethan were talking, and Ethan talked it out of the list. So,
all right,
Paper Mario.
Oh sure,
yeah,
I think.
Okay.
I think that it just kind of makes sense. Because one reason, there's 3 different versions of Link.
Yeah,
we only have 2 versions of Mario. Let's match that up. Next reason, I feel like it would be cool to have another 2D character like Game & Watch.
Yeah.
And third reason, new game just came out, and I feel like he's got a good moveset. Possibilities, like with the hammer and stuff.
My biggest thing holding me back from feeling like that's going to happen is just because of how many Mario characters there are. That's the only thing.
The one thing holding me back actually is just that there's already a Paper Mario stage, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
What?
Like I think the amount of Mario characters wouldn't really hold them back. We've got a lot of Fire Emblem company right now.
You're right. And we still got
that Byleth. Yeah. But there is a Paper Mario stage. It's kind of forgettable, but it's there. So
yeah, you could tell because Joe forgot.
Yeah, I literally was like, there is? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But there's so many freaking stages now. Anyway, next one down is kind of an old wish that's still there, still prevalent. I think is just Rayman.
Like, oh yeah, okay.
Like I know that people have been talking about bringing him on for forever, and that's just one that I think is weird that isn't. And then my last one,
real deep was
I was trying to think outside the box because because I remember there was one time Sakurai said he was like, I don't necessarily care about how like big the character is necessarily.
That's
at one
right.
point I think he said that.
He said that during the Terry presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, popularity isn't everything. Yeah,
which amen, man. First off, that's fantastic. And so I was
sitting across from Sakurai on his like perfect white couch. You're like, preach, Sakurai. He's like, how did you get in here?
Oh man, him and his like 3 TVs in his living room. That man is ready for company. That man is true. That man is gaming right.
Yeah, it's funny. I always kind of imagined him as being pretty introverted, but his whole living room setup is like, yeah, come over, play games with me, Toby Fox.
Yeah, exactly.
Play some games.
It's fantastic. But anyway, so I was thinking outside the box,
right?
And I was recently watching a couple videos on this game, and I was like, you know what? What if we got the big black dragon from Ring Fit Adventure? And we already have Wii Fit Trainer, so it would be a similar realm. And I feel like we haven't gotten a new heavy character in a while,
or a villain.
Yeah. And how great would it be to just be this behemoth black dragon and chucking dumbbells at people?
Yeah, the dragon's swole, right?
He literally just pumping iron. Yeah.
Oh yeah. When he powers up before he attacks you, he literally does exercises to power up. It's iconic.
That is great.
Amazing.
That's really great.
And I was I feel like that would be great.
That idea is actually incredible. That did not occur to me until now. That is a fantastic idea.
Dude, I'm so happy I'm impressing you guys right now.
I feel like Ethan and I's choices are so much more boring comparatively.
You guys really led with the wrong person. You guys have a lot to live up to now. Yeah.
He just has
that's all of mine. That's all of mine.
Okay.
So for me, I'm gonna get. There's a section of them I'm gonna get out of the way because there's a section of them that are all assist trophies. And I genuinely don't feel like an assist trophy is going to become a fighter. I feel like after seeing Min Min pop in and not Springman, I feel like that's just it's not happening. If it's an assist trophy, it's dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Personally. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's how I feel about it. But I would love to see Zero or Shovel Knight or Bomberman.
Mm-hmm. Those would all be great.
I think they'd all be great, but I just don't think they have a chance.
Yeah, I don't think there's absolutely no chance at all of an assist trophy getting promoted, but I think the chance is very low.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Springman felt like kind of the obvious choice, and they went with Min Min instead. There's a lot of reasons for that Sakurai explained, but I feel like assist trophy status is one of them.
Yeah, exactly. So beyond that, I feel like I wanted to put Spyro in an actual prediction because I personally love Spyro a lot, and I think he's a great mascot for Sony. But I know people like Crash more, and I know that Crash would probably have a better solidified spot. And that's the only reason that, to me, I don't think it's going to happen. I would rather play Spyro, personally. But beyond that, I also think it doesn't have a good chance just because Crash isn't in the game. I would love to see Phoenix Wright.
Yes.
I love Phoenix Wright.
I've just started playing those games.
They're great games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're excellent games.
And
we're big Phoenix Wright fans in this house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
And
I think Phoenix Wright might be on Sean's list right now, actually. Is he on your current Fighters Pass 2 list?
I don't remember. I would have to check. But maybe.
I mean, he's already been a fighter in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It's shown that you can make a fight. You can make a moveset out of him. Mm-hmm. It's possible. And I just keep Phoenix Wright in the limelight, man. He's the best.
Yeah, he might even have the best special attack in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. His finishing move. So
super is phenomenal.
It's great.
You know what I just thought of?
Oh no!
What's that?
Oh god!
What if Phoenix Wright had a counter move?
Yes.
Where if he gets hit, then he goes into his pose and says objection, and then fires back.
Blows you away.
That would.
That's what I'm saying. I want Phoenix Wright in the game.
Well.
It's so good. As an actual,
literally. Oh yeah, that would be great.
As an actual indie character that I think could have a chance, but I'm just worrying about maybe the popularity of the game not being all the way there. Though, granted, like we were talking about, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Right.
The Knight from Hollow Knight, I think, would be an awesome character. I think that cartoony design would fit in really well. I think Joe and I had a conversation where we kind of want more cartoony characters because there's been a lot of just like anime style recently, and like it'd be nice to get a little bit of variation again. And I just think you could easily make a moveset out of that character, and it could be really, really cool.
I had never even considered kind of the aesthetic of whether or not a character would fit into Smash, but it is very easy for me to picture, the little bug knight from the Hollow Knight, like running around and attacking other Smash characters. That's an interesting point.
Right.
I think it's actually got a solid shot at being a Mii sword fighter.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah. If it were to, I agree with that.
Yeah.
The only other one I have, and I know that this one's not going to get in, but I just love imagining it, is fucking Agumon.
Hey, Agumon's on my list.
Yeah, you think?
Man.
I think Agumon would be great. Just like Joe and I were talking about like how you could make it into a thing, and I was like, what if you made it where it's like kind of like Pokemon Trainer, and you can swap between his Digi evolutions, and you can fucking I feel like there's so much potential for how you could do it, because it's either you could do that or it could be like an Arsene style thing where maybe when he hits a certain percentage or when he does a certain thing, then he can just be Greymon or something.
Sakurai loves representing mechanics in games so much that it's wild that there is not a Pokemon rep that has evolution as a mechanic yet.
For real. That's true.
So having Agumon in there and having him be able to Digivolve as part of his moveset, I think there's a good chance of that, actually. Especially now that Tekken feels like it's out of the running.
Oh, it's so gone. Yeah. They were like, hey, Hachi, me fighter again. You happy? It's like
Sean was happy.
Ethan. It's
My
Ethan.
turn.
What do you got?
All right. So my predictions, I have a few that are pretty generic. I think Blizzard still deserves a rep.
Okay.
Tracer just probably makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, guys, I have a real love-hate with Overwatch, where I have like a month where I'm like, this is the best game. Like, I played League of Legends. I was the same way. Like those games that are just like hyper competitive, just like built for esports. I'm in it super hard. I did the same thing with Valorant recently, where I was like, man, I love this game. And then I get like a month in, I'm like, I can't take it anymore. So
see, that's me with Smash, except it happens like every day.
I know. I don't even touch online. Okay. So that's Tracer. I think Monster Hunter Girl would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my top prediction.
Yeah, that's on Sean's
list.
It's just such a weird thing for the Rathalos and the stage to be there in the what's the campaign called? Something of Light.
World of Light.
World of Light. Like, yeah, you have that whole stage, but we can't even play on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like that would be an easy transition. And I think the music for Monster Hunter is pretty underrated.
Oh,
I think
that I'll agree with. I'll agree with that. Soundtrack's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. I turn it on when I'm writing all the time.
Oh,
little wholesome. Oh,
yeah, so cute.
I can imagine him sitting at his desk with a little light. Mom comes in with sandwiches, like exactly crust cut off.
I've been eating crust for years now.
Oh man.
So my Disney rep. A couple hot takes for Disney rep.
Ooh.
Because I think it needs to happen.
Okay.
I think Sora is what everyone thinks is going to happen,
including me.
If it does happen, but Marvel vs. Capcom 4 needs to happen soon. It is good. I think it is happening soon. And with that in mind, Captain America, coming over. It's gotta happen.
I haven't heard that one actually. Yeah. That's a new one to me.
I think it could. I think it could. I don't think it's likely. I think there's like a 10% chance, maybe less.
Maybe a little less than 10.
Yeah. Do you really think though that if a Marvel character was to get in, that it'd be Captain America over everybody else?
I think so because I think the iconic like Spider-Man wouldn't work.
What about Wolverine?
I don't think Iron Man would work. I just think if I were doing it, I would choose Captain America because like he is Marvel. Like he is everything that represents what they, he's Disney. He's like this Boy Scout. And for a fighting game where they're like, we don't want Iron Man like blowing Donkey Kong's head off. He would. I mean, anyone. You pick any Marvel character from Marvel vs. Capcom, they're gonna have an interesting moveset.
Oh yeah.
I'm just now imagining like Tony Stark on the phone with Pepper Potts. Tony, what are you doing? I'm blowing his head off. Yeah. Just like disintegrates Donkey Kong's head.
Yeah. I'm just a huge Marvel fan. If I could choose,
except you can't do that because you got no head.
Yes. I think Spider-Man would also be cool, but it's not going to happen. Okay, so my other hot take. I have two other hot takes, I guess. One of them we actually put in our top 5.
Here we go.
So we all know Rivals of Aether's coming to Switch.
Wait, you said you had 2 Disney picks. You gave
Sora and Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Sora was one of them.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rivals of Aether.
So Rivals of Aether. I think they had to make a deal to come to Switch where they said, you can come, but we're taking one of your characters and putting him in Smash.
Oh, that's interesting.
I feel like that wouldn't. I don't know what Nintendo would get out of that.
I feel like it'd be the opposite way, right?
You don't think so?
We Nintendo are the ones that benefit from this the most. Not you. This isn't something you're begging us to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ethan. I don't know. It would be cool though. There's a lot of cool characters, but
there are a lot of cool characters. I think it'd be cool.
Which one do you think? Which one do you think?
I don't know the guy's name. I think it's the lion with the fire.
Zetterburn.
Yeah, I think he's probably the most popular as far as just like what they put on their media. And,
I think he's kind of the face of that game. Zetterburn's a good.
And you could do, during the trailer, I always think about like what Sakurai gags would be in the trailer. You could have it where he's like facing off against Bowser in kind of a "you're me, I'm a me" sort of thing, or like Incineroar or somebody.
Yeah,
right. Like the Spider-Man pointing at each other.
Yeah, I was about to say you could do the Spider-Man meme, and they're all like pointing at each other.
And there's just a part of the trailer where like Falco and Wolf all like charge up like they're up B, and then Zetterburn does the same thing.
Right.
I think it would be cool. I don't think any of these are like super likely. They're definitely pipe dreams.
Yeah.
So our top 5, just to burn through this.
Okay.
We've spent plenty of time.
Here's the characters that we genuinely think have a solid chance.
Okay.
You and Joe do the first four, and I'll give my reasoning for the last one here.
Okay. So Joe and I are pretty damn solid that either Doom Guy or Master Chief are going to get it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's just I'm leaning towards Doom Guy more, only because he's such an influential. He's a character that's part of such an influential game for video game history, and I think especially seeing Vault Boy, there's like connections occurring there where I wonder.
Right. I wonder. Yeah, I absolutely see where you're coming from there, especially because Bethesda have been on record multiple times saying like, yeah, we'd love one of our characters in Smash. And Bethesda and Nintendo having that working relationship is really good. I do wonder, the Vault Boy thing, if Doom Guy was going to be in the game, why would Vault Boy not be part of the Doom Guy update instead of just his own thing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. And I also worry about how gory Doom is. That's the only other thing.
I mean, Bayonetta's in there, so
right.
Yeah,
but it's just I feel like Doom, like especially modern Doom, is like so intense that I wonder if Sakurai would throw down another "this is for good boys and girls" kind of like whatever, you know?
Yeah. I do think Doom Guy's more likely than Master Chief, but yeah, I think
I'm like a deep conspiracist with this. Like I am under the impression that all those memes putting okay. So
he's bringing up the Doom Guy Isabel.
The
memes.
Doom Guy Isabel memes. You come on, you know it fits so well. Why did they come out on the same day? They've been planning this for a long time. They
think that's going to be like the intro video?
Doom Guy's reveal trailer just has a moment where like Isabel and Doom Guy are just like face to face.
Yes.
Yes.
And then it looks like they're about to fight, and then Isabel like hops up on his shoulder, and then they both run in.
It's just going to be a trailer where like a bunch of the villains are all like bullying Isabel, and then he like comes in like, "Why are you touching my girl?"
That's all I want. That's all that I want. No, believe me.
And then he just chainsaws Ganondorf in half. And
incredible.
Like, this is deep state conspiracy stuff, but I feel like it just makes sense psychologically. Like they know that it's an M-rated game. They know that it's going to be kind of like, we have to get them thinking about this before they just accept it. They got their foot in the door.
So they bring Isabel in to soften the blow.
No. They associate the hardcore demon killing madman with the cutest anamorphic dog thing. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know.
Okay, Joe.
It's not anamorphic.
Anthropomorphic. Yeah.
Anthropomorphic. I'm so sorry.
Okay, Joe. I'm gonna stop you here.
Yeah. What's the
Okay. I already brought it up earlier, but if Sony gets a rep, it's going to be Crash.
Yes.
If Sony gets a rep, it's going to be Crash.
Yeah.
It's being pushed so hard. People want it. It just makes the most sense. If the only thing that I think might stop it is whether or not Sony just like wants a character in the game.
I mean, Crash isn't Sony though. Crash is Activision.
Oh, well, I feel like it's very connected to Sony.
Yeah, it is.
Regardless.
Dude, that changes everything for me.
Yeah. No, I think Crash is very likely. Crash is currently on my list. He keeps falling off, and then I put him back on when characters get deconfirmed. But Activision Blizzard has the rights to Crash. So Sony has no say in whether or not Crash shows up on other things.
Wow.
I was going to say.
Okay, Crash is in.
Yeah.
I'm like 100%
Yeah, no.
Because if Sony doesn't have a say, then I think it's like,
Yeah. That was my whole thing, was like the animosity between Sony and Nintendo would be the only thing holding that back. But now because I was always so curious, I was like, how is Crash even on Switch to begin with? Like, I was like, how is that?
Okay.
But now I know.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing Crash could have going for him is that so many people associate Crash with Sony that Nintendo getting Crash on Smash would be kind of a haha, we have him kind of thing.
Right.
So,
the animosity might be towards the benefit.
Exactly. And then all the mascots could fight, man. You'd have Sonic and Mario and Crash
and Pac-Man and Mega Man,
and Banjo,
and Banjo, yeah.
Man, that would be so good.
So this one, Joe and I kind of deliberated about for a while, and Joe kind of won me over on this.
Yeah,
I disagree with this one.
Ethan hard disagrees with this one. We think that if you were going to do another like classic character and bring it in like up into the forte, like a la like Terry or Duck Hunt or something like that, Ryu Hayabusa, I think would be an interesting pick. Because it does have a lot of old school history. It's a game series that's been around for a long time.
Nintendo Entertainment System.
I think there's a possibility.
And Nintendo and Koei Tecmo, the guys that own Ryu Hayabusa, do have a good working relationship. Koei Tecmo keeps making games for Nintendo. They did Hyrule Warriors. They did Fire Emblem.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
dude, I love it. Every time you talk, you just support everything I want, and I love it. This is great.
That said, I think I'm with Ethan on that one. Like Ryu's got some stuff going for him, especially like the main thing for me is he doesn't feel popular enough. But Sakurai has kind of said, popularity isn't everything.
I feel like it depends whether or not Sakurai loves Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
Don't you think he'd have the same moveset as Sheik? Or at least very similar?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like his moveset potential, I'm sure Sakurai could come up with something. Like maybe he takes some of Ryu's stuff from the 3D Ninja Gaiden games.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, maybe. But like another ninja, another sword fighter, and one that's not like people aren't really foaming at the mouth to get Ryu. Yeah, I don't know
And also, what would the announcer say at the character screen?
Ryu again. Not that Ryu.
Oh my goodness.
So, just reuse my voice line, actually.
Yeah, right.
We don't need you to come in this week, man. We already got it.
We got it.
Oh man!
Just literally use the same soundbite.
Yeah.
Ryu.
So the last one we have on here is one that I think Joe and I both like. We don't want it to happen, but we have a feeling that it has a really solid chance just because of how much of an impact the game had on the last decade. We really think Steve from Minecraft has a good chance.
Me too.
I hate that. I hate it so much.
Me
I can see Sean's pain.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Sean and I are in contention about that one, but yeah, I think
we have spent episodes arguing about whether or not Steve is a likely pick.
I think maybe it won't specifically be Steve. I think maybe they'll call him Minecrafter and have a bunch of different skins for him.
I hate that even more.
Honestly, I think this is the best chance you have of Master Chief in Smash.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah, Steve with a Master Chief skin.
The problem was that the more we talked about it, the more we were thinking about how his moveset could work, and we were like, oh god, it does have potential though.
It does. It really does.
And I don't want it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want it. We're just saying that there's a day that's going to come pretty soon where I'm going to watch another Nintendo Direct and get disappointed again. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think it's pretty likely. It's not one I necessarily want, but I think it makes just makes a lot of sense.
It just makes a lot of sense. But then in turn, Ethan has brought in a full on like very similar smack hit that might even have a better chance, and I'm worried about this one.
Ooh.
And none of us want it. We just think it's likely.
Sure. All right.
So
you didn't run this by me.
This game is absolute fire with the younger generations.
Oh no!
It pushed a lot of Switch units. It would bring a lot of people in that maybe are too young for the Smash titles or like haven't touched them yet, and that's the Fortnite guy. The default skins.
Oh, okay.
They have the pickaxe. They have they could build like little cool barriers that take like a hit to destroy, or like, you know.
Everything you say makes me hate it more.
Yeah,
I honestly,
I think it'd be really hard to do a move set that's like fair, but I would say it would be interesting because of the building.
Well, mechanic. They put in Min, so
yeah. Sean and I discussed that like a while ago, like back when we were first talking about Smash Ultimate, like third-party reps.
Oh, really?
And we dismissed it back then. Like you bringing that back up now, I think there's a chance. I don't love that there's a chance, but I think,
especially with how like good of a record Epic has now. With all the money they've been making and like giving games away for free.
They're good at making deals. They really are. Yeah.
I absolutely thought during the lead up to all of this that you were going to say like a guy from Roblox. I barely have any peripheral like the only awareness that I have of that game is that sometimes my boss has to bring his kid to the office and he's obsessed with Roblox. So I'll walk by and there'll be like a little Roblox man walking around. That's all that I know about that game. But when you were saying like, oh, it's really popular with the kids, I was like, shit, it's going to be Roblox. So I actually
didn't even know there was a
Fortnite
Roblox video game. What?
That's what Roblox is, Joe.
Oh, I'm thinking of like the old competitor for Legos. What am I thinking of?
No. You're thinking of, that's not Roblox.
Bionicle?
No.
Oh,
there's
shit. Let's get a Bionicle in
that. Calm down, Joe. He's gonna find a tweet. He's going to find a tweet from Sakurai in 2007 where he referenced Bionicle, and it's going to go all downhill. Okay.
Metro Nui. Let's get a Metro Nui stage. Calm down. Okay. And then we can get a new item.
Oh, no, he's gone. He's
gold
gone.
Mask. We can get the gold mask item in the game or something.
I'm upset.
Okay.
Dude.
All right.
So let's introduce this movie. I think that's plenty of time on Smash.
All right. So that was our little mini deep dive into Smash. And we tried it out. I hope you're proud of us.
I'm incredibly proud of you all. Yes.
Yeah. Like I feel like all the off the wall picks are stuff that I would have predicted, and all the other picks are stuff that Daniel would have predicted. So it's like the perfect storm.
Yeah. No. Good justifications for a lot of that stuff. When you were gonna bring in a left field Disney pick, I thought you were gonna say Wreck-It Ralph, which was actually a prediction I made a while back. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a shot anymore. I predicted that back when like his movie was about to come out, and I thought there'd be a lot of cross marketing. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, great picks.
Yes.
Cool.
maybe not that Bionicle thing at the end, but
no.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so hyped.
He's all in now. That's his number one on the list now.
My childhood just bubbled up in like 2 seconds. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, moving on from Smash, let's get into, what we do on the Devil Fruit podcast. We are all about that anime, and what we've been trying to do in between our mainstay episodes is try to break it up by watching an anime movie. Mm-hmm. We call it our Winter Chicken Dinner series because the person. What's up?
Stop clapping.
My bad. Holy shit. We call it our Winter Chicken Dinner series because the person that chooses the movie is the person who won the Chooserama, where we pitch our anime shows to Ethan's fiance Kat, who has no idea what anime is, basically. and if they win, then they also choose the movie. So,
and I won again. 2 for 2, baby.
2 for 2. He won 2 in a row.
It feels like there might be a bit of an advantage there, a bit of a home field advantage.
I mean, Daniel,
think so?
Your fiance judged both of our Smashing Debate episodes.
But she's a very objective person.
Are you saying Kat isn't? You don't even know her. Maybe she's more objective than Amy.
If anything, I think Kat is actually biased against Ethan most of the time.
Yeah.
So I think he works hard.
I think she was actually upset that she felt inclined to pick mine last time. I think
that's actually similar to the situation with my fiance. Yeah. Yeah. Like Sean might actually have the advantage there.
However, I am glad that I got this one because I think this movie was really cool and have a lot to talk about. Especially with like who worked on it and what they came to be later on in their career.
Right.
So we watched Robot Carnival.
Yes.
Daniel and Sean watched it as well, so we'll have insight.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought us on for this. This is going to be neat, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is a movie that kind of flies under the radar, especially under Akira, because so many of the same people are involved. And Akira is kind of their opus of the 80s, especially for movies.
Yeah, somewhat justified.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it is fantastic. So the opening of this movie was done by the director of Akira.
Yeah, Katsuhiro Otomo. Yeah. That the little intro and the outro afterwards. And I gotta say, the idea of a giant tank that just says Robot Carnival across the front and just runs around going through towns just exploding shit is amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you can tell this was directed by the Akira guy because there were lots of explosions and everyone died. Really, that should have tipped me off from the get-go.
Very similar tone.
Dude.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a whole lot of to say about the beginning because after you get past this, it really is overshadowed by the next few shorts, I think.
Right. And I think it's just there to go, here's the title of this compilation of short films in a really cool, stylish way.
Yeah, I think it did do a good job setting the stage, though. One thing that I thought was interesting was we all watched this on Crunchyroll, right?
Yes.
And Crunchyroll has a sub option and a dub option. You can either watch the dub or the sub. Sean and I decided to watch the sub, and and the opening just opens with this kid, right, like running through the sand, and then he opens his mouth and he just goes boop, 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 boop. Maybe this decision was superfluous, like because he has like no like real spoken dialogue, like he's not speaking Japanese or English.
I thought that was such a weird choice, but in a way it worked.
It did. I think so too. Yeah.
I loved it. I after like this first little bit and the next couple stories, I like realized, because Ethan told us, he was like, it's a compilation of a bunch of short stories, and all the people on it basically went on to do amazing things. And I was like, cool, okay, and that's all I knew going in.
Right.
And so like,
I
my reaction
too. Yeah.
Like my reaction to, especially to this first opening and stuff, was just like, oh, whoa, like it was just like one thing after another. Like my first note that I wrote down was, I love how that old person, when everybody's running inside, just doesn't give a shit what's going on and like just almost keeps going on. I just loved that little notes. And then like the just the reveal of the big machine was just
it was so sick.
Nuts.
Yeah.
It was, and that was, you could feel the Akira oozing off of that. The amount, that thing that I brought up with like everybody who did a short film that ended up being connected with Akira later. All of their stuff had so much kinetic motion. Like there's just so much movement, and just the gears and the wires and there's just all that.
The wires is a big thing. Yeah.
So
that's very true.
Let's slide into this first short film, which was Franken's Gears, directed by Koji Morimoto, who was an animator on Akira. And the only other bigger accolade that I saw was that he was the director of one of the short films on the Animatrix.
Ooh, which one?
Beyond.
Oh, which one was that again? Man, it's been about a decade since I've watched Animatrix. Yeah. So again, I feel like the Akira was like oozing off of this. You could tell why this guy was brought on board for that team. Because again, it was just like the gears and the movement and the that flowing animation and just like the crazy, like cyberpunky, just like battered metal kind of thing.
I really like some of the choices too. I think the strongest part of this and what made it look so good, especially for the time in the 80s, was like the lighting of everything. It was, you could tell that this person was very familiar with like camera work, photography, and then translating that over to his animation because of like the darks were crushed blacks, but you could still see like these gears spinning in the background, and there was always like there was never like you said, Jacob, no motion happening on the screen. Like even when he was standing still and like, you know, tweaking something, that there's either something like turning in the top left of the screen, or something's happening. There's always something to look at.
Yeah,
that's like cool. I think that on balance, you know, there was something interesting to me about all of the shorts, but this one was it kind of stuck in my memory the least compared to a lot of the other ones I watched. I do think that it was a good first short, aside from the intro, because it does communicate kind of two things to you about just the broader package, which is that first, you're going to be looking at gorgeous animation the entire time that you watch this thing. And second, you cannot go into this with any expectations at all, because it is centrally about robots, but beyond that, I mean, everything, you know, each short was kind of very, very different from the one preceding. And so it was a good onboarding experience, I think. Yeah,
it did a good it did a good job establishing the theme, and also how different it felt from the intro made a good point of kind of setting your expectations in that way. I think it was placed well in the anthology. Yeah, that's a good point.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So like when the robot's finally alive and the scientist starts hugging the globe, do you think I think it's one of two options. It might be something even more, but like symbolically, do you think that he was going to try to use the robot to rule the world, or was he using the robot as like, I'm finally going to get global recognition?
Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of either of those, but I like both of those interpretations, actually. Yeah.
Joe, I had two thoughts with the globe. I think because I didn't think of what you're just saying right now. But when the globe symbolized something to me, it was at the very end of the short when it
cracks
rolls,
in half.
Yeah, and it's like the robot's going. It destroyed his world, and it's going like robots are going to break the world. Was kind of like the symbolism there to me.
Yeah. That's how I felt about the end too, and I thought that was really cool. I didn't really think very deeply about the scientist hugging the globe. Actually, I'm like, well, what's this weirdo just hugging this globe?
The globe was just like it looked really cool.
Is that just is it just like a toy of his? He's like, oh, cool, I built a robot. Time to hug my globe. Like, Your thing seems like it makes more sense, really. The world domination thing.
I think if you connect it to the original Frankenstein story, I feel like it makes sense that he kind of was thinking about like a world domination kind of thing.
Right.
I'm not that well versed with the actual original story of Frankenstein, if I'm being honest.
I mean, because Frankenstein's the actual name of the doctor, because the monster's called Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that
Dr. Frankenstein, I mean, he was basically a fucking dastardly scientist man. Like that was, he's big evil for evil's sake kind of shit. So I agree with Ethan that that's definitely, I think it was partly his own world was shattering because of what just happened. And then there's a deeper meaning in it too. You could take it that way too. The really cool short. I was kind of bugged by the scientist not having a voice at all. Not to say that I think he should have spoke, but I think him having at least some kind of
like
voice,
vocalization or something.
Yeah. There were
some moments where it was kind of distractingly quiet.
Yeah,
where like some of the sound effects were louder than others, and like when his footsteps were so loud. I don't know if you guys like. Every step he took, I was like, "Oh man, that's distracting."
And that was the only thing that bugged me because I was like, all you had to do was just get some guy to come in and go and like it would have been fun. I wouldn't have even noticed. But I just felt like that.
I guess this is a crew of animators first and foremost.
Very true.
Though, So I feel like that was kind of their their priority. Even some of the stuff we talk about later that's voice, a lot of it kind of felt like, oh, you brought in your niece to the studio. Or
you brought in your neighbor Dave, and he came in. And, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to say about this one, and it even correlates with other ones later on, especially the next one we're going to talk about. The music, did you guys ever get like really Zelda vibes in the music?
Oh, for this one, for this short specifically, we were thinking more like Chrono Trigger and like Final Fantasy, I think.
But yes, Chrono Trigger strong.
Yeah, the soundtrack for the whole thing felt like the lost soundtrack to like a bunch of like Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1 RPGs.
I found myself really curious as to like what particular kind of synthesizer they were using to compose the music, because a lot of synths from that era have very particular sounds that it's hard to replicate now, and so there's this big kind of almost economy of like wealthy music producers buying really old equipment and using it to get kind of a very unique retro sound. And the whole time I was listening to it, I was thinking like, I bet that there's some iconic synth, that they're using in order to produce this music, because I feel as though it sounded very similar to, like a lot of PlayStation 1 stuff, for instance, kind of had a similar vibe to that. So that's kind of what I was thinking about throughout, but, especially kind of toward the beginning as I was adjusting to the soundtrack.
Oh my gosh, I would love to talk to you about that movement you're talking about later. That would be,
I definitely noticed that. Basically every short I was making a comment basically saying that the music was really good.
Right.
Like that kept popping up. I agree. Yeah. So moving into the second one, like what you were saying, very, very harsh switch up in style.
Yeah.
This one was called Deprive. It was directed by Hidetoshi Omori. He didn't have any... Yeah. He didn't have any... Yeah, no worries. He didn't have any specific major accolades that he directed, but he was an animator on like... He's been an animator on so many shows for at least an episode. I saw everything from like Golden Wind to like old school stuff. Like it was all over the place. He had a huge list. How did we feel about this one?
This was actually one of my favorites. I really loved the pacing. It felt almost to me like kind of a 10-minute long action movie trailer. Like just the way that it moved from scene to scene, and you had kind of all these like cuts to different angles of the action. I felt like it had a certain kineticism to it that really kept me engaged, where some of the other shorts there were these kind of lulls where I would zone out a little bit. Sure. I watched Deprived from back to front, and I had a good time doing it. So I really liked this one.
Yeah,
right.
I think the character designs were really cool for this one.
Yes.
And yeah, I just love kind of the actiony vibe of the whole thing. So there's each short you can each director seems to have different priorities. This one the director absolutely just felt like it's like, I just want to fucking draw some cool action scenes, and that's what I'm gonna do. Fuck story comprehension. No,
I totally agree, because the robot designs were great. I like that the music, it caught like a serious 80s vibe on this. It was like we were going. It was an 80s action movie. What's up?
I had conflicting. I did conflicting feelings.
I did too.
Because I felt like these were like cutscenes in a video game, and then we just missed all the rest.
Bruh.
Honestly, that's what I felt like, because you get like that quick like intro, which kind of felt like all the really quick cutscenes you get at the beginning of a video game, and then like the big moments at the end with the final boss. And then everything in between is like, all right, we're just gonna cut the parts that the guy played.
But come on, he's got a Star Wars speeder bike. It was sick. It was only there for like 10 seconds, but it was awesome.
The visuals weren't cool. I'm just saying it was like, this guy's like, man, I really need like a film reel to like show my animation. He did this.
But I felt like
this is? I felt like a lot of these were that. honestly. Whether they were
this
a
one was just like
unapologetically
that.
Very much. I understand that. I understand that.
Dude. My note for this one was, this is the 80s hero I needed. Like this.
Can I say I liked him more as a robot though? I thought his robot design was way cooler.
Sure, yeah.
It was really interesting to see the amount of robot characters in the anthology that just with no explanation turned into a human later,
right? Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Yeah, I was like, you just morphed into this with no explanation.
Yeah. I feel like that was kind of a lot what Ethan was saying, where it's just, I got to show that I can design these robots, but also look at my human characters.
Yeah, I can do both. Yeah, this one was okay. I think you're either going to love this one, or it's going to be one of the ones that you just forget about later.
Are you talking about
for me
this next one?
Deprive? No, Deprive.
Yeah. Oh, Deprive. I agree with that. Moving into this third one, so this one was Presence, directed by Yasuomi Umetsu. The only big thing that he directed that I had an inkling of a memory of was the Kite series, which is Kite and Kite Liberator. I don't know it very well, but I've heard of Kite Liberator before. And then otherwise, again, he animated a ton of shows.
Sure.
This one is going for a lot, is the way I would say it. I don't think Ethan liked this one very much in some ways.
Okay, well,
I liked it.
I'm sorry. I'll go in with my explanation, and then you guys can fill in. So this is the only one in this whole series where I felt like the bigger meaning that he was really going for was either too on the nose or over my head. I couldn't decide if I was is it this, or am I just completely missing it? And the whole time I was trying to look for the bigger meaning. It just wasn't. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
The art was obviously amazing. I think
animation was really good. Character designs were great.
Yeah,
even though that main character was just hideous looking. Maybe that was part of the point.
He had a very weird melty head.
Yeah, especially when you got older.
He really needed to trim those eyebrows.
I do need to say, being a big X-Men fan, that they just kind of stole the Dazzler design from the X-Men comics and put it into this robot woman, which is cool. But that I need to say that just for the comic book sake,
just for posterity.
Yes. And when he said "Daddy Longlegs," I got creeped out.
Yeah.
What was that? If I ever heard a woman call me Daddy Longlegs, I would put her on a list.
Wait. Okay. So this is the part where I'm going to point out that I accidentally watched the dub.
Oh.
So when did that happen?
He near the end, he's kind of like expressing his regrets out loud. And I think he says something like, "I'm sorry that you couldn't call me your daddy long legs."
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
That did not happen in the English dub. Holy shit.
Daniel, we should have watched the dub.
They didn't retain that excellent line for prosperity, huh?
Apparently not.
Shame.
They probably said English people or the English-speaking people will not understand the meaning of this.
They're not ready for daddy long legs.
Yeah. Well, apparently, even in 2020, we are still not ready. So, wow. Okay.
But so I don't know. Did anyone feel like they really understood the bigger meaning here?
I will say to start that this was one of my least favorite shorts, and I think that primarily that's because. Yeah, I didn't necessarily know what message they were going for in terms of kind of, author's intent. And then also, and this may have been the point, but the primary emotion that I experienced watching this short was just discomfort. I don't know, maybe that was what they were going for, but just because, that's something that a creator is going for doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to kind of work in a meaningful way for the audience, and it didn't for me. This one really didn't land for me. But I'm sorry, Daniel, I think you were going to say something.
I think there's a lot of I guess the word I would use for a lot of stories that remind me of this, and a lot of stories that feel like presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of stories that feel the way that presence does. Pretentious was just what kind of floated to the top of my head for a lot of this. It just like, it's the story made in the 80s that very much had the vibe of like this man in his 30s going like, oh, our destiny as men is to destroy women, you know, like just it just like why is that always the moral of these sad stories written by men, you know, like
it was like, I don't think it was any deeper than just like using a robot to ask existential human questions. Really, I don't know how much further it was really trying to go, because the fucking robot was just literally sitting there going, I want to go outside and live life. Don't I have life the same as you? And it's like, okay, obviously this is a played out trope by now. Maybe not as much back then.
Yeah,
but yeah, you could definitely feel that. And then, the whole thing about how like he made the robot to find love because he couldn't find it from his wife and child. But then as soon as she tries to give him love, he's like, "Oh, fuck."
So I took it, I think, a little bit differently than all of you guys even.
Give us that hot take, Joe.
My brain went to like those older stories more along the lines, and maybe it was just kind of like the art style that took me there too a little bit. But I went to like old classic Western literature almost. And like a lot of those stories are, if not the main point of it, a big part of it are involving stories of love that shouldn't be, and like
guilty love.
Yeah, and so like this was, I think, like the creator director was like, what if instead of just like this other taboo, what if the main character fell in love with something that he created? Because there's always that point in those stories where usually the guy is the main character. He's full frontal confronted with, do I accept this thing that I want or what society has already laid out in front of me? And then he has to either shut that person down or get deeper into his hole that he's digging. And in this case, he just decides to beat his creation into the ground. But then that always haunts him as he grows up and grows older. He's always thinking, what could have been? And I don't know, it was very just reminiscent of those old classic stories to me.
I feel like you go, Daniel.
That's actually a great point. I think one of the things this kind of low key reminded me of is A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. Right?
Oh, that's interesting.
It's not a 1-to-1 comparison, but I think there's
what
some
do you
kind
mean?
Oh my goodness!
See, the streetcar is a robot this time.
Oh.
Yeah, but no, I think there's a bit of overlap in the themes, you know, of like of this you know, this flawed man who is tempted by something he wants but feels he cannot have, and then kind of destroys it, right? That's a very, very paraphrase kind of take on both of them. But like they always try to get you to sympathize with the dude in that story who is an awful person.
It's very odd.
In both of, like, you know, Streetcar Named Desire especially, but also in Presence, this guy's kind of a piece of crap, right? Like he hides his creation from his wife, from his child, and then like he has the audacity off. Like once his creation has any agency, he destroys it, and then he's an old man, and he like runs off with his ghost fantasy of this creation that he destroyed, leaving his wife in the house by herself.
Yeah, I literally wrote
married for 50 years.
Yeah. I literally wrote in the notes. Damn, Granny lost her mans.
I don't know how many deep stories I can watch about garbage men before it kind of also mush together, you know.
Yeah. I think the best part of this short really wasn't even the main stuff, like the main plot. I was way more interested in this idea of like this crazy techno future, but it's like Victorian England culture. That was way more interesting to me. And then there was the whole thing about like, wait, so some of them are robots, but then some of them aren't. And then we see the dumpster with all the robot parts in it. Like, I was way more interested in what was going on there.
Yeah, the part of the very beginning that I just forgot existed until you brought this up. The part of the beginning where a bunch of school kids, like rip off like a robot civilian's head. He looks like a regular man. He looks like a regular old man until they rip his head off, and then they kick it around like a soccer ball while his head's going like, "You can't do this. How could you?" And
exactly.
And like that was really kind of the most interesting part of the short, and then they never go back to it.
That was the second time I audibly said, "What the fuck?" while I was watching this.
Yeah, genuinely.
Wait, what was the first time?
The first time was let me go back. The first time was in the 80s, Super 80s one, when the hero was like just beating up everybody, and then all of a sudden got gunned down like super hardcore, right before he was like captured. I was like, whoa, what? Huh?
Yeah.
That was the first time.
If anything, I kind of just want a fleshed out story in the universe of Presence more than I want Presence. Like
that's fair.
That's kind of where I was at on it.
Okay. And I definitely agree that the world building, even though it kind of takes a back seat to, this kind of story between two people, is very cool in Presence. It's a very cool backdrop in which they set their story.
Just like the shots of like Victorian England town with these like crazy like mecha spires.
Right.
I was like, why is that happening? What's going on? I want to. But anyways,
should we go to Disney?
Yo, this next one.
This one is
let's
this
go to
one's
Disney.
my personal favorite.
Okay. Seriously?
Okay.
Really?
So, yes.
I know why.
So this is Starlight Angel.
Yes. Okay, I forgot Starlight Angel. Yeah, all right.
This was directed by Hiroyuki Kitazume. This guy went on to be the animation director for Zeta Gundam, ZZ Gundam, and the Gundam movie Char's Counterattack.
Wow, really? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, you can see that shit so hard in this. It is so Gundam looking the entire time. The character designs, the robots, just the crazy like laser action scenes, man.
That definitely does answer my question of like, well, wait, why the fuck is he fighting a big mecha with a tail? Like, it makes perfect sense now, actually.
Because
I no longer have to ask that question.
Exactly.
Why? Because Gundam.
Yep.
I liked the beginning of this a lot. I think that it was the first one of these that kind of took its time to slow down and try and tell a story that was really grounded in what we can understand as reality.
Right.
Just like, this girl has a crush, things are going wrong. It's in this really cool amusement park that feels like Disney, but Gundam version. I'm very into that.
Yeah.
But then when she goes back to the ride, and the ride turns into this like, I don't even know what to call it. It was like a black hole.
Do you want the description of what they said it was?
I do. What? Yes, I do.
So apparently, that ride was like a VR ride. So she's inside of like a weird virtual but also augmented reality world that got like sickened by her emotions. And that's why the big robot came out. I don't know if that's a good enough explanation, but That's kind of
cool. Yeah, I didn't get any of that.
Right.
But,
No,
that is cool conceptually.
Yeah.
My interpretation was that she was like battling, like the big robot was her insecurities, and then
which in a way, it technically, even with my explanation, that's kind of what it was.
Okay. That's too big brain for me.
The big reveal did take me off guard too. I was like, oh, I guess we're doing this now.
I think that's one that could have benefited from some limited voice work, even if they just had like a Carnival barker going like, "Step right up, it's the new virtual reality ride." I would have been like, "Oh, okay, I see what's going on."
Again, this was another point where there were moments with characters that were obviously talking and they just didn't have any voice acting.
Yeah.
Where again, you could like what you said, where it's just a small group of animators. They wanted, whatever. I totally get that. But would this have benefited from having some voice work? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did the boyfriend do? I didn't understand that.
Oh, I thought he was two-timing her. Like her friend is like, "Oh, come meet my new boyfriend," and like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend."
Your boyfriend. That's my boyfriend. Yeah, pretty much.
Which, by the way, you could tell that this guy was like gunning for being in some Gundam shows because he made the good boy brown hair, brown eyes, and he made the bad boy blonde hair, blue eyes. It is just the most Gundam thing to be like. Bad guy is blonde man. Like it's just they were just on. He was on it. He was ready to go.
Yeah. So in addition to me and Sean watching this, my fiance Amy Lee also watched this with us. Okay. And she was getting really engaged in Starlight Angel. But I think she checked out the moment it became clear that both of these girls were straight.
Actually, because I was thinking like, oh, this is really cool that they're doing this in the 80s.
They were exuding some vibes, but the whole time I was thinking like, I must be mistaken. That cannot be the angle they're going for.
I was bracing myself for that to not pan out. And it didn't. But initially, like I loved the animation style. I loved the character designs.
Dude, I feel so small-minded. I didn't even cross my mind that they might be a couple. I was like, oh, two friends going to the theme park.
It's that scene where they were sitting on the bench and they were kind of having this really heartfelt moment together.
They were. They seemed like such a cute couple.
If anything, if we were to redo this, just drop the employee entirely and let the pigtail girl come in after she fucking smacks the guy, and then and then just bring her in to save the day, and that's how you do that shit.
Have her turn into a robot and fight the big robot, and then that could be the end.
I think this one is definitely the least. I don't know. Like the message here is much less
symbolic,
vague, and big picture, making a statement.
Right.
I think.
I think some of these shorts had messages. This one didn't really want to have a message.
It was flashy and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I guess it's similar to that other one that we talked about, the Deprive. Action. Yeah.
I do gotta say the big bad villain though is my favorite villain that I saw in this whole thing though.
Cool design.
Cool design.
Robot,
the giant robot, that was
I like that there was that one scene when they're flying around, and at that point the director was like, okay, so I've got all of these robot designs just sitting on the back burner. I want her to just flick her wrist and we're just gonna throw all of them in there.
I forgot about that. She does do that.
So next one.
Okay. So this next one was Cloud. It was directed by Manabu Ohashi. This guy has little to no accolades that I could find. Really not a lot going on. And this one is definitely the most hyper conceptual one.
This was this was probably my second favorite out of the shorts that I watched, because it felt kind of so bold to me, and it really to me it kind of used the idea of what a robot is in the most creative way, kind of just extrapolating, well, a robot is immortal, so what if there were a robot that lived throughout the entirety of time? That's just such a cool idea to me, and I loved the way that they pulled it off with that really unique kind of style of animation.
Yeah, a lot of these shorts, I felt like, oh, I've seen this idea before. This is an interesting take on that idea, right. But I wouldn't use the word innovative for what this is. Cloud is the most innovative short. It's very creative. It does a lot of weird things visually and from a storytelling perspective. I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite or second favorite, but I really admire what it tried and for being so just out there. Yeah.
I agree. It wasn't necessarily my favorite, but I had a lot of respect for what he was going for. Mm-hmm. And it did work.
Yeah. This is the one where it drew you in to the point where like, I want to understand this so badly that I'm going to take in every detail and be like hyper aware.
Right. Yeah.
Where the other ones that even were trying to say something couldn't accomplish that because it wasn't done in this, like, I don't want to say simplistic way, but like consciously detailed and meticulous in the way that it was telling the story.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. I did space out for parts of Deprive and Star Angel. Angel Carnival girl.
Yeah.
Like I spaced out for parts of both of those, but this I felt like I really had to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just like the nature of it. It I don't know if that's just human to like see something in that style and be like, oh, I'm supposed to pay attention here or what. But I definitely got that feeling too, and I loved the style of how it opened up with like sketches almost and then transitioned into what reminded me of the segment of Castle in the Sky when he's telling the old story about it, and it's just that specific style where it's like all pencil drawn almost, but I loved it.
This was one of the most incredible usages of frame within a frame throughout this, like not everything from how it started with him walking and it started on just his feet and then it kind of like slowly grew larger and then it went to that big like kind of like poster frame where when it had that really long shot of him walking, and then the like way towards the back end when it starts to just like give you like these little frames of like his face and all these things. I was like, wow, not a lot of people mess around with aspect ratio and framing and like using only a part of the screen and like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was very gripping, I think, which helps with what you guys were talking about as far as how it really like sucked you in.
Yeah.
I would say I think both Ethan and I had trouble understanding at first what this was about.
I was really jumping to some conclusions. It's like, especially in like the middle of it, when these images are happening, and I think it really is left up to interpretation. For the most part, I mean, there's definitely a message he's intended, but like I think the message I took from it was that this was like representing your mind and like how your mind sometimes becomes clouded and then there's a storm, and then you have these like great ideas that take off, and then this happens over and over. It's kind of like a cycle before you kind of think, your head goes above the clouds and you see the light for a moment and then you're back. And it was kind of just like seeing the sun for the first time, like getting this great idea. And that was my interpretation, that this wind was just time passing by as you kept doing this over and over again.
Oh.
Yeah, which I think is a cool take. Yeah, I think it's a cool take. I mean, like ultimately, his intended message was more what Sean was talking about like it's basically like the rise and fall of man.
I see that with like the development that happened and the bombing and
I love how the kaijus are thrown in there.
That was cool. Yeah.
Honestly, like I was like, okay, cool, Godzilla.
I do appreciate though that, you know, I think that you can kind of trace the story of what's going on in the piece, but it is possible for, you know, 5 different people to watch it and come away with 5 different kind of feelings or interpretations. Like for me, it almost struck me as kind of like a treatise on loneliness, which has been kind of, you know, something that I've been experiencing lately in my own life. Although, I mean, obviously, you know, I have Daniel and his fiance, Amy Lee here, being like quarantined because of COVID-19 has been very frustrating for me in some respects. And so it was really interesting to kind of watch this story of, you know, this robot boy making it all the way through the entirety of world history and only at the last possible second kind of finding someone that makes him complete, right? That, you know, I really felt for him because I've been in my own experience where like I can't fly down to see my parents where they live, for instance, you know, I can't go and kind of experience these very human aspects of like social interaction and interacting with each other. So I maybe that's why this really resonated with me in particular, because of the time that we're living in. But I think I really appreciate when you can experience an art form and, you know, everybody goes, oh, well, I was thinking of this when I was watching it. Oh, well, I was thinking of that when I was watching it. I think Cloud is great for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Perspective's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you're right. And this is probably the most complete story. Right. As far as like a lot of these we're talking about how maybe they just felt like exercises, or maybe they tried to give it a little bit of something, but maybe it wasn't all the way there. And this one's like, it could just be a short film and it wouldn't have to be connected to this and it would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have the last.
Second to last.
Second to last.
Oh,
right. There's 2 more. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So this one's pretty wild. So this was Strange Tales of Meiji Machine Culture, the Westerner's Invasion.
This was my favorite.
This one's great.
Yeah. I think it might be my favorite too.
I loved this short.
They definitely intentionally put this one right after Cloud to be like, oh, you're feeling a little down?
Right.
Here you go.
So this was Hiroyuki Kitakubo. As far as I saw, I believe he was also an animator on Akira.
Okay.
And the only other major accolade he had was that he directed a movie called Blood, the Last Vampire, which won a couple of awards.
Oh,
right.
So yeah, this one's crazy. And I'm curious to see what your guys' perspective is, because the dub is different.
That makes sense.
I like this one a lot. But I think maybe you guys had a better experience.
I was actually about to say that this was really the short that made me really glad that we picked the sub.
I bet.
Because basically the villain of this story is this character called the Westerner, I think.
Yes.
And the Westerner, you know, in the sub, everyone else speaks Japanese, but the Westerner just speaks English through the whole thing. They got this Western actor to just speak English.
Yeah.
And so instead of there being any English Crunchyroll subtitles, there's just Japanese subtitles like along the sides of the screen, like as he talks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I really had a good time during this one. It just had a very fun energy, and the setting was just phenomenal. Like the kind of feudal Japan, but with like feudal Japanese mechs, was very creative and fun. The aesthetic was really good.
Yeah.
The cast was very generic, obviously, but like all the archetypes you want in a story like that were there.
That felt to me like a deliberate choice, because you only have so much time, you know, in a short film. It was great to have like, oh, there's like the hot-headed ingenue, there's the you know, sassy assistant. They were all tropes, but it was, you could just immediately relate to all the characters, which was good.
I think the tropes were a good call. You know,
Yeah, like I like that they were all tropes, but they came off incredibly likable like immediately.
Yeah.
Like all they had to do was have their like little roll call, and I was like, I like all of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
on board.
Yeah. Especially the sleepy dude controlling the legs.
I love that guy. That was my favorite one.
Yeah.
I just love that he's just sitting there. He's like, just pushing the thing forward.
My favorite was the guy shoveling coal, where like the leader would just shout over him like, "Hey, we got to do this and that." You just go like, and then like run off and do whatever it was. Love that guy. Great guy.
Yeah, he was great. That guy was great.
I also love that the villain is like literally that old cartoon character,
Snidely Whiplash.
Or Dick Dastardly?
Dick Dastardly was what I was thinking. He just came off so Dick Dastardly to me, and I was like, I love that they are just making fun of us right here.
Yeah,
so hard.
He's like, just anime Dick Dastardly,
yeah, and they're literally just going, Yep, we're making fun of you. Do you feel it? Do you feel it?
Dude, there's one point in that short where
you're talking about
like
the book,
the kid's trying to translate,
right?
And he's like, because the main leader kid is like, what did he say? And the book smart kid's like, I can tell he's speaking English, but I don't know much American. That's what he says. And I was like, oh,
yeah, dude.
It's
so obvious that this guy is supposed to be this like American fucking like tyrant warmonger coming.
Right.
Who's like, we're
he's
so
got
much
a
better
German
than you.
accent.
Is that what he had on your guys' side?
He's super got a German accent.
Yeah, and there was, I think, Joe, what you're trying to get at is there was kind of a dig there in that, like, Americans sound dumber than English people in Europe. Like, he had to go back. He had to figure out what he was saying because he can understand English, but he can't understand American because what is this guy even saying? Yeah.
When that line happened, I was like, oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just want to point out that, so you guys watching the sub had that very specific distinction of they were speaking Japanese and he was speaking English.
Right.
Yes.
The way that they decided to give you enough of a disconnect in the English dub. All of the Japanese characters speak in like on God, like full bore, like racist English.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I was like, whoa! This is like, I get that it's like they're trying to intend it, but is this? I don't know. And I was like, it was funny because of how bad it was, but it was also like, I can't tell if this was like intended or not intended, and I don't know where to sit on this, but that's what they decided to do with the dub.
That's right.
And it was wild.
That is
wild.
Sounds like a really bad call, TBH.
Yeah.
What if it was the American dubbers like listening to the story, understanding it, and then like get that the story makers were making digs at Americans, and then they were like, we're gonna get them back.
get our revenge.
The only thing I could think of was that apparently this short was supposed to be kind of based around like old school sound era movie serials as well as like World War II Japanese propaganda.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I thought maybe that's just intended because they're trying to like push the propaganda thing or something.
Like
or they're trying to harken back to a point where dubbing was very racist.
Right. Or something like that. And
I don't think it's that, guys.
I was gonna say I don't think it's that deep. I think this just kind of sucks.
But
I think the only thing in this that I thought was like a really interesting choice was they have a shot where they're showing the Westerner and kind of in like the cab of his mech, and they pan down and sitting there on the.
Yes, the book. Yeah,
the Silk Road.
Yeah,
which is obviously referring to like Japan opening their borders to trade.
Right.
With all these other nations. I didn't even
catch that.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of like the only inkling of like a clear jab of just not just American culture or like, you know, English speaking dumb people. It's just like foreigners in general kind of fucked us.
Well, you know, another
here's our jab at that.
Another thing that I noticed as I was watching is, and I think this really ties into with the like, oh, this is kind of a takeoff of, you know, Japanese propaganda films, is that the reason that both mechas were constructed and the weapons they have, like with the American, it's like cannons and, oh, you made it out of like bricks. Like it's kind of clearly intended for war. And then one thing that they really harp on as they're kind of getting the Japanese mech going is like, oh, we made this for the Harvest Festival. What kind of weapons do we have? We only have peaceful fireworks. Like, you know, it's kind of clearly meant to differentiate the two cultures. And I thought that was really fun too.
Yeah. That's a good detail.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Not to mention, you know, at the end when they're like, look, the rising sun. Like, I'm just gonna, you know.
The girl's like, it's setting.
It's setting. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I agree that this was a really strong one.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one won me over in the first like 2 seconds, right? When it first like revealed the first mech.
Yeah.
Because my head, like, I don't know if you two dudes are as much of like N64 boys as me, but like,
I'm an N64 boy.
I know what you're going to say because of the kind of N64 boy that Sean is. Go on.
Okay. Because I thought of Mystical Ninja.
Yes.
Yeah,
my guy. That is one of my favorite video games of all time, and Daniel hates how much I love it.
I
such an amazing game. It's such an amazing game.
Yeah.
But literally, I like that first one rose up and the style, the bright colors, and then that being just so in the city and stuff. I was like, whoa, okay. My brain immediately went to Mystical Ninja.
I was definitely getting
just like,
vibes. Yeah. Mystical Ninja vibes for sure.
I
think what really
that's what won me over.
What the moment where I decided like I'm into this short was when they were trying to pilot their mech and they like punted a building all the way across town. From then on, I was like, okay, I'm fully invested in this situation.
Yeah. That was really fun.
It's just like, fuck.
Okay, so the last one was Chicken Man and Redneck.
Oh man,
by Takashi Nakamura, who was the animation director on Akira, and again, it shows.
Yeah,
very much so. This one is like, this is like a crazy robotic like drug trip.
Yeah, this one was all over the place.
Wild.
So I had a weird interpretation of this only because of my like what happened recently with my media consumption. So I just listened to a Marvel podcast where they go through, it's like they're trying to be the people on the ground when Galactus shows up in New York for the first time. And it's kind of like this reporter's perspective on like this giant coming to Earth. New York's suddenly under siege and the Silver Surfers speeding through the streets kind of looking for like, what's this planet's best defense and how am I going to stop it? And so like my immediate interpretation was, oh my God, this is just Galactus and Silver Surfer between like this guy who just came in and like Dynamaxed and became like this massive robot. And then it was Chicken Man that was supposed to be like his Silver Surfer. Right?
Nope. It turns out that the robot that was running around on the little crazy floaty moped was Redneck, and the man, the human being, is Chicken Man.
Okay, see, I never got that.
I thought it was the opposite as well.
Oh, really?
That was kind of my interpretation. Was like, Galactus coming to Earth.
Have you guys ever seen that tweet where some guy's like, if you told me that there were two superheroes, one of them is an adrenaline junkie that gets into fights, and the other is a blind man that uses echolocation to see, and you told me that one of them was named Batman and the other was named Daredevil, and then you told me which was which, I would hit you in the face. I was reminded of that when I found out who was Chicken Man and who was Redneck.
Yo, for real.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fantastic. But I gotta tell you guys, like, as soon as I saw the man, because we're introduced to him when he's cowering in an alley.
Right.
I was like, oh
yeah.
I was like, he's chicken.
I know, but the fucking robot had like weird chicken legs, and I was like, I don't know, it might be the robot.
Yeah. I got to bring it back to the music though. Oh.
The robot had a very chicken aesthetic, is what I was going to say. What are you going to say, Joe?
Yeah, no. This was one where I specifically caught Zelda music themes.
Yeah.
Like, especially Majora's Mask.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there were certain sound effects that popped in where I was like, dude, I swear that is in Majora's Mask. Like, I was like, wow. And I was getting that kind of vibe. And then like, as it progressed, like, this one has no dialogue.
Right.
No.
Right? And as it went, like, the music was like it reminded me of Fantasia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, it did have that feeling. Yeah,
where it's like it's the soundtrack, but it's almost like the visuals are set to the music.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes a sound effect is just the cymbals clanking, like when his motorcycle didn't work or whatever.
Right.
And it was like, tss, tss, and I was like, oh, like I as soon as I made that connection in my head of Fantasia to this, I was in it.
That's very cool.
I was like, this is amazing.
How do we feel about the fat booby duck?
Dude.
Oh, I forgot about the fat.
Didn't need the fat booby duck.
I only have a vague memory of what you're talking about because I feel like I blocked that out after seeing it.
Yeah.
There were some really cool designs, and then there were some really bad.
Yeah,
I did not need or want.
Like it was like
ever want to see that.
You just had a bunch of robots, and then like they get hit by the hammer, and then it's like a big crazy robot. You're like, oh, cool, and then the big robot gets hit, and then fat booby duck,
right?
And you're like, oh.
Dude,
okay.
There was a split second where I didn't get duck, but I thought that might have been Chicken Man. I'm serious because he's got the
right.
red like thing on top.
Right.
I thought it was more. I was like, maybe that's the chicken.
That would have been a great twist.
That and the titties, yeah.
Oh
right.
my goodness.
Like just,
oh my goodness.
I don't know.
Well, I have a Honda Spree moped, which is what he was driving around in. It's from the 80s.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You do?
Mine is red.
Really, the whole like him like rocketing around on that moped through this like bizarre kind of post-apocalyptic industrial landscape. The vibe that I got was like almost like a Looney Tune that's set in hell. Like if Bugs Bunny like was going off against Satan, like that was kind of like the what they seemed to be going for. I didn't really know what to make of this short, but I was engaged. I definitely thought that it was interesting and very well animated, which you have to expect.
Very well animated.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was mainly a visual fest, and that was kind of the point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was like Fantasia.
It was like,
and no, like really, like it's. Oh, you guys don't understand. I took a whole class one time, and I like took a week. There was a week we spent on Fantasia.
Wow.
Like I, oh my gosh, I love it so much. And then at the end, I saw the credits, and I was like, oh, it's my man Joe Hisashi. Like, dude. It just kept getting better and better, and I was just like, yes, Joe
Hisashi is the Studio Ghibli soundtrack guy, right? And he also he also did the soundtrack for like the Ni no Kuni games.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man!
No, he's one of my favorite composers of all time.
He does good shit. Yeah.
Oh, even just his solo stuff that's like not for anything specifically is just so good. Anyway, I'm sorry. I digress.
Okay, so should we talk about the closing?
Sure.
Yep.
Get this thing a rating.
So, big tank can't handle too much sand. Like
the air filters didn't get changed. Got a little clogged up.
A little clogged up.
That reminds me of Alchemist. Like first episode, they're walking through the desert, and Alphonse is like sinking.
Yeah,
and Ed's just like pissed at him, and he's like, "I can't help it. I fill up." And it's like,
big tank
what?
can't handle too much sand.
Big tank can't handle too much sand. Like man.
So did you guys watch all the way past the credits?
Yes.
I thought I did, but I don't know what you were talking about in your notes. So what part are you talking about?
So Crunchyroll did this weird thing on our watch through. There was like kind of a mid-credits bit, right, where the O falls off of the robot carnival.
I saw that part.
And then we watched through the rest of the credits because I knew there was a post credits thing. And halfway through the credits, the thing just cut, and we were back like on the Crunchyroll menu, and I had to jump back in to see the post credits thing. But there was a post credits thing where this man like finds like a little orb. He takes it home to his family. Like
several
like
kids.
Adorable little kids.
Yeah, I should say.
Yeah, like they're all crowded around the orb, and the orb opens up, and there's a little robot ballerina that does a little dance. Yeah, and the kids are like, "Oh, yay, ballerina, yay!" And then the ballerina does a twirl, and it jumps up into the air, and it shoots off like cute little fireworks, and the kids are like, "Yay!" And then the ballerina explodes, and the whole house explodes, and everyone in it presumably dies, except for their pet llama, who is knocked on its side and is just flailing helplessly as the word like end just
dude, are you serious? You're not making this up?
No, that's for real.
No, that's exactly what happened.
This is how they chose to end this compilation of shorts.
I think that might be the most Akira sounding thing ever.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I didn't see that. I wish
I'm
going to
have to go back and look at that. Yeah.
But that's so on the nose then too, because that just hammers home the theme of like
robot carnival.
Like robots are cool. We think it's awesome, and we're excited about it. We want to show everybody, but eventually they're gonna kill us all. like that's. Yeah. I have no doubt in my mind that that's the entire theme now. That's
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so Daniel and Sean, we usually give our things that we watch a letter grade at the end, so we can put it in our long list of films and shows that we've watched. And looking at this as like one big piece and not necessarily like individual shorts.
Okay.
How are we feeling about this? Like as far as
now, is this the kind of the academic A, B, C, D, F, or is there also S rank?
Personally, I throw it an S. Okay. Yeah, and I think we kind of agreed upon that because S is like your ultimate, like this, like S is like your. I not only thought this was really good, but this is my full on biased. Right. I love this.
Okay,
kind of
gotcha.
Thing.
Yes,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah. If you guys are comfortable going, go ahead.
I'd probably give this a solid B. Would be about where it would land for me. Because there were some shorts that I really loved, like Cloud and the extremely feudal Japanese one with the long title. There were some shorts I didn't really like, but altogether, I think, as a kind of package, I think it just about evens out to a B for me. I think I'm glad that I watched this and had this experience because if it hadn't been for this, I would never have known this existed or watched it throughout the entire rest of my life. Right. So yeah. I definitely...
That's kind of why we're doing this podcast.
Right. Like I definitely appreciate kind of having had the opportunity to have this experience, and I definitely enjoyed it enough for it to be a B.
Awesome.
Great.
I would give this a C+, I think.
Really?
There's no individual short that I really loved. Like I think every short had something of value, and it really hammered home the feeling for me that anthologies are just fucking cool, I like anthologies a lot, and I wish I had experienced more of them because a bunch of vastly different stories all sharing a similar theme and seeing what different creators do in those situations, that's a great experience, I think. And I think for the experience alone, I'd say like C+, maybe hovering on a B- because I really like that experience of experiencing all these different stories. But yeah, I think I think there wasn't really any one short where I was like, this is incredible. Like, I had fun sometimes, but there were definitely some shorts where I was like, this is just kind of bad. And so I think it balances out to more of a C+ for me.
Fair enough.
But I don't regret like watching it all, and I'm really glad you brought us on for this because it kind of afterwards I kind of looked up what other kind of anime anthologies there were, and the guy that did the opening and the ending, he's just involved in like 5 or 6 different anime anthologies made across different parts of the past 2 decades. Like he did one in the 90s, he did one in like 2007, I think.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So
maybe that's just his shtick.
Yeah,
like, that's like what he's really into, is just like getting people together and like, here's the theme, go.
Yeah, so maybe a bit of a harsh grade for me, C+, but I did have a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ethan, where you at?
Okay.
I'm going to throw it at you.
I'll go. So I actually agree with what Daniel said, and I think that the one that's actually going to, I'm surprised to say this, but I think the one that's actually going to stick with me the longest is Franken's Gears. Only because I think that art style really resonated with me. And it was so distinctly different than the other things I've seen recently. Because I think a lot of this stuff, Starlight Angel and what was the really actiony one that we watched? Deprive.
Yeah.
I feel like those art styles are things that we're really familiar with and we've seen grow with like shonen shows, and they look distinctly 80s, and Franken's Gears is something I just would not have expected to see in this. And I think that it was very cool. So I think I'm also going to give it a C+. Okay. And there were a lot of really good things in here. I'm glad that we watched it. I'm glad that we didn't do Akira or something like, not generic, but the easy pick. I think that we, really diving deep into something that maybe isn't someone's first choice was cool. And I appreciate you guys coming on the podcast to do it with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was a great pick. I don't think I ever would have watched this or realized it existed without you guys bringing it to our attention. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah. I'm glad that's the case.
All right, Joe.
Me. Okay, me.
Oh yeah.
I'm literally like listening to you guys, and I'm bouncing back and forth on what I am. But
do you want me to go to sway you?
If anything, I would like you to go just to give me more time.
Okay, great. Okay. The way that I decided to break this down was after every short film finished, as I was watching it, I gave it a letter grade. And then I kind of...
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, I added them all up and then kind of brought it into like the median.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So that I could get an idea of where it went. Because I had a lot of these where I was like at a, kind of like a B- area where it was like, I kind of liked it, but I had some problems with it, whatever. But there was a couple of these in here that I loved a lot, and it brought it up quite a bit for me. I ended up rounding out to a B+.
Okay.
I think I just appreciate the good things that a lot of these brought to the table, and some of the things that I personally didn't like from them didn't hurt it enough for me to kind of drop it, like as far as Daniel and Ethan did, where I just had a really good time with it. And I personally really liked something like Starlight Angel and stuff like that, because I like seeing how you could look at a short like Starlight Angel and you could see how it kind of helped establish the thing that he then went and ended up doing later.
Sure, yeah.
And I really enjoy seeing how like Starlight Angel looks like Gundam, but when Starlight Angel came out, Gundam didn't really look like that. It only really started looking like that until after he started doing those Gundam shows. And then I mean, Gundam really looked like that for like most of the 90s after that, which I think is super interesting to see. Same thing with like a lot of the Akira artists.
I do love Robot Carnival as kind of this point in animation history because it was made in the late 80s. And there were so many things that Robot Carnival reminded me of at different points, right? Like the soundtrack was like, oh, this is like Chrono Trigger. This is like Zelda. Or the animation was like, oh, this is like Gundam, or this is like this. And everything I was thinking of is stuff that Robot Carnival predates.
Right.
Like Robot Carnival was first. And it made me wonder like, wow, how many of these fucking video game composers like were making this video game music and maybe even just subconsciously like kind of riffed off of this anthology film that they really liked when they were like 11.
Right.
You know?
No, exactly. And I think that part for me like really heightens the experience. So yeah, I think I came full circle at like a B+.
Cool.
How you feeling, Joe?
Cool. Okay. So I'm just gonna keep climbing the ladder. Is what it seems like with these ranking things. I think I might put this in an S tier.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
This is the first Devil Fruit S tier. The first one.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah.
So like, again, I think it's funny because I think I mirror the same reasonings that you guys do, that you guys put for yours as positives, at least. I guess I hold it higher in those same areas. Like, I think that like for what it is, I think it's amazing. I think a funny way of looking at it would be like, this is the first NWA album, and then later we saw everything all these directors went and did by themselves. You know,
that's a really good. Wow, that was a really good metaphor, actually.
like that's. Thank you. I tip my hat to that. Thank you. Tip my hat to myself. But it's like it's just so awesome to me to see what I know of these directors now and see that they really kind of were like that all the time, and they really kind of like stuck to their guns, and I got to see one more thing from Joe Hisashi that I didn't know existed. Like I think I might have heard the name Robot Carnival before, but never ever like paid any real attention to it.
Yeah.
And then like when Ethan brought it up, I was like, I might as well have not known what this is.
Right.
And I think it's such a good look at where the culture's mindset is at that state and time, and just a look at history and the society's perspective on such a narrow subject as robots. I love it. I think it's amazing, and I think it's what's S tier for me is I feel like this is something that I'm going to reference now for a while.
Okay.
Like all of my S tiers, for example, are like Alchemist and like Dragon Ball. Like I compare things to those all the time.
You get at least one Dragon Ball reference in every episode.
He got an Alchemist reference in this episode.
He sure did. He sure did.
Yeah.
Like and I feel like I'm going to. This will be on my mind comparing it to future things I watch. I'm sure it will be.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad, Joe.
Yeah, that's
I do think it's important to say, like, it really can't be overstated how important this, just from reading the Wikipedia article and like seeing the future of these directors, like this was so important to their career, and giving them the freedom to do whatever they want for what seems like the most part. They said, take the leash off. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
Show us what you can do.
Right.
And we're going to put it in here. Like, that's such a rare opportunity to have as an artist. And these guys really used it to the best of their ability.
Yeah. I think ranking it as a slice of anime history, I think that S is well justified. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And apparently it brought like, the director found like everyone he wanted for animation for Akira out of this. Like, man, they all.
I don't know if Akira would have happened without
this. That's a good point.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. So Akira was after this?
Yeah, it was. This
correct.
was 86, and Akira was 87.
Wow.
Well, wasn't Akira a manga first though?
Yes,
wasn't it a long running series?
Yes, but the movie coming.
He was
together,
drawing Akira
right?
at this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
So, guys, do you want to just give one more shout out to your like social media and where people can find
Take
you?
it away, Daniel.
Yeah. We're at A Smashing Theory on Twitter, and we're on patreon.com/beepboop group. And both. We do A Smashing Theory bi-weekly, and when we're bi-weekly-ish, we did like 3 weeks in a row because of like all the video game news that happened in like late June.
Yeah.
So we're actually in the middle, like a little bit of a break. We'll be back like later in July, but whenever we're not doing stuff, for A Smashing Theory, we're probably uploading something to the Patreon. So we start at like $1, and all of the exclusive podcasts I talked about, that's at the $1 level. So
awesome.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
I love Beep Boop Group.
Beep
You have
Boop
no
Group's a
idea.
good name.
That's
great.
That's like, dude, I just want to say it 5 times fast, but I know I can't.
That's all Daniel. Daniel.
That's amazing.
Daniel is the
Whoever did
progenitor
that
of
is
the
a
Beep Boop
genius.
Group. He came up with the name.
That's great.
Genius.
Actually, everyone I talked to was like, "You got to change that name, man." And I was like,
oh no, I love it.
That's great.
I love it.
You want to sign us off, Jacob?
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Check us out on YouTube and Spotify at Devil Fruit. Check us out on Twitter at Devil Fruit Corp. That's CORP. And if you want to find any of our personal Instagrams and what have you, you'll just have to ride your tank through a town and blow it up to figure out where they're at.
Watch out for the sand zone. Sand will kill you.
Watch out for the sand, though. That's the problem. Yep.
Yeah.
You don't want to fill up.
Don't want to fill up.
Oh, jeez. All right, guys.
All right, guys. See you later.
Peace and love.